In the middle of the summer of 2023, April Holt, a mother of two and a positive mindset coach, gained over 200,000 TikTok followers. She built her online persona around optimism and stories of overcoming adversity, sharing her happy family life and offering advice on staying positive and achieving goals. "Keep growing, keep chasing dreams, and you will succeed," she often repeated to her followers. But at the end of July, the unthinkable happened. April was found unconscious in the bathroom of her home, and a few days later, she passed away. For law enforcement, it was a tragedy of her own making, but April's mother, Jamie, was convinced this wasn't the case and began a fight for the truth. In early July 2023, April Holt celebrated her 29th birthday. Despite her young age, she had already achieved considerable success. As an independent eyelash extension artist, April left her previous job, started her own business, and began working for herself. On her birthday, she wrote, "Happy birthday to me, to 29. I'm infinitely grateful for the opportunity to live another year, for 10,585 days of life." Among all her accomplishments, April valued her family the most, especially her children, daughter Serenity and son Denzel. April was a caring, loving mother and shared the best moments of her family life through her TikTok account. Her videos were dedicated to positivity, spiritual growth, and the power of visualization. She inspired her followers with words like, "Sending good energy to everyone who sees this. I wish you to spend the day usefully, be purposeful, and grow." Sometimes her videos were just fun and humorous. Over the years of blogging, April shared personal moments too. For example, her homeschooling years left difficult memories of a social isolation, which she later overcame. April and her 33-year-old husband, Donovan Holt, candidly showed the ups and downs of their married life. They talked about how they were friends, then became best friends, then lovers, and later husband and wife, and parents to daughter Serenity and son Denzel. Their relationship had its difficult periods, such as a time of separation that Donovan mentioned, financial difficulties, depression, and serious health problems. But despite everything, April always found the positives, presenting their story as one of overcoming obstacles, where love always triumphed in the end. Not everyone can easily share personal problems online, exposing them to the judgment of millions. On the morning of July 28, April called her mother to clarify plans. They were going to go see the Barbie movie, but plans changed. So April suggested meeting at church the next day. But later, her mother received a call that would change her life forever. It was her son-in-law Donovan, who told her that their son had found April unconscious in the bathroom. She was in the shower with a plastic bag over her head, tightly taped down, and not breathing. In the hospital, Jamie noticed that Donovan was behaving strangely. He didn't seem to feel the intense pain and confusion that a person who had lost his wife should feel. He allowed April's mother to make all the medical decisions while the doctors fought for her life. Donovan himself sat with his head in his hands, rocking back and forth. After 3 days of fighting for her life, on July 31, April never regained consciousness, and the doctors pronounced her dead. In November, the autopsy report was released, and the results shocked Jamie. The medical examiner determined that the cause of death was asphyxiation, but the Nashville police found no signs of violence and ruled the death an accident. The police informed Jamie that her daughter's case was closed, as there was nothing more to investigate. But April's mother refused to accept this. She declared that she would continue the investigation herself and get to the truth. 2 weeks before her death, April had filed for divorce. This was not the first crisis in their marriage. The couple had previously gone through a difficult period and lived separately for several years. April and Donovan separated but did not officially divorce. They continued to show friendly and warm relations in their accounts, and perhaps this was partly true. Or maybe they were just stuck in an unhealthy relationship cycle, because after a long break, they decided to try being together again. In their videos, they often emphasized how important it is to be able to forgive, speak frankly, and support each other no matter what. The darkest moments of their marriage never made it to the pages of TikTok, but apparently, passions flared up in the relationship. And when in July 2023, April decided that this time she was definitely leaving Donovan, she could no longer be persuaded. She told her mother that she would not return. Donovan apparently understood this, because Jamie later found out that a week before April's death, he pawned his wedding ring. On July 28, the same day April was found unconscious in the bathroom, she and Donovan had an argument. The details of the conflict remained unknown. In the morning, their son Denzel heard his parents arguing but couldn't make out what it was about. Later, he told his grandmother what he remembered from that terrible day. On July 28, she woke up, had her usual coffee, wrote in her diary, enjoyed the morning peace. She played with 7-year-old Denzel, kissed him and her husband, and then went to the bathroom. They could be heard starting to argue and fight. Denzel put his ear to the door and saw their feet underneath. He tried to understand what they were talking about but heard nothing, so he ran to his room. Some time passed, and Denzel's father came to him. He hugged his son, gave him something to eat, and asked him to go check on his mother. When the ambulance arrived, April was taken to the hospital, but she was already not breathing. The doctors stated there was no blood circulation in the brain and it was not functioning. Only 6 hours after hospitalization did the family learn that there was a bag on April's head. By that time, Donovan had already returned to the apartment twice, but what exactly he was doing there remained a mystery. On July 31, 2023, April was officially pronounced dead. From that day on, Jamie began her fight for justice. To draw the attention of the Nashville police and prosecutor's office, she launched her own campaign. Jamie reached out to local news channels, celebrities, and actively covered the case on her social media. It was not an easy path, as the case was already closed, and it became almost impossible to get any media coverage. Mentions in major news publications completely disappeared. However, Jamie did not give up and continued her online campaign. She demanded full access to the case and began her own investigation by filing an official complaint with the Nashville Community Oversight Board. Her efforts were successful, April's case was reviewed, and after 4 months, the Nashville police completed a reinvestigation, presenting a 47-page report. Although this did not change the classification of the case or the official cause of April's death, it provided Jamie with many details to study. Day and night, she analyzed the report, carefully examining every line in search of clues. At the same time, Jamie tried to provide a stable and supportive environment for her grandchildren. She enrolled them in grief counseling courses and shared how their nightmares kept her and her husband awake at night. Jamie also spoke openly about her pain and even wrote a book about the healing process called Grieving with Grace. She planned to spend the proceeds on publishing a children's book, Come With Me, and continuing her adult book. Jamie became an active fighter against domestic. She shared how difficult it is to realize that a can look very different from what we imagine. During this period, Jamie also had to fight to keep the children together. For several months after his wife's death, Donovan Holt moved to Texas and wanted to take his son with him. But Denzel desperately begged his grandmother to let him stay with her, assuring that he would do anything not to leave her. Jamie emphasized that she was not trying to influence his feelings and always gave the children the freedom to choose where they would be happy and where they could have a full childhood. It was also important for her that Denzel and Serenity were together. Jamie's relationship with her former son-in-law was rapidly deteriorating. In April 2024, she stopped posting about April's case, citing a gag order. Despite the pause in the online campaign, Jamie never stopped fighting for justice for her daughter. At first, investigators claimed that there were no signs of injury on April's body that would indicate. However, Jamie saw that there were noticeable bruises and marks on her daughter's body in the hospital that indicated the opposite. The pathologist's report recorded marks on April's neck, thighs, and calves, as well as a deep cut on the inner thigh. But the most important thing was that only one set of fingerprints was found on the bag pulled over April's head and on the tape used to secure it. They did not belong to April, but to Donovan Holt. In September, Jamie confronted her son-in-law directly with the facts obtained during her investigation. Donovan confessed to her about the crime he had committed. This was not a surprise to Jamie, as she had known the truth for a year. After his confession, she went to the police with a recording of their conversation, and April's case was reopened. The conclusion in the report was revised, and her death was reclassified as a homicide. On September 20, 2024, the Nashville police announced the arrest of Donovan Holt in San Antonio after he confessed to detectives to killing his wife. A grand jury indicted Donovan Holt on charges of reckless homicide, tampering with evidence, and making false statements. He was extradited from Texas to Tennessee and held on $75,000 bond pending a hearing scheduled for October 23. After communicating with the Nashville Cold Case Unit, all questions in the case were resolved. 33-year-old Donovan repeated to the police the same version of events that he had previously told his former mother-in-law. During an argument, in a fit of anger, he strangled April, and then, to cover his tracks, carried her to the shower, put a bag over her head and wrapped it with tape. After that, he went to cook lunch for his son, and only later, when Denzel had eaten, sent him to check on his mother and called an ambulance. Currently, April's children live with their grandmother. They say they are coping as much as possible in this situation. There are both bad and slightly better days. Jamie thanked her social media followers for their support and help to her family during this terrible time. But her fight is not over yet. Jamie seeks to achieve justice for her daughter April and increase the charges against Donovan Holt from reckless homicide to first-degree murder. While the case awaits trial, Jamie is tirelessly fighting to ensure all the facts and evidence are carefully considered. Her determination inspires those around her. Family support is growing every day. Friends, acquaintances, and strangers are uniting to help Jamie and her grandchildren during this difficult time. On social media and in the media, people are talking about the importance of protecting loved ones and countering cruelty. Jamie shares her thoughts with followers, emphasizing that her fight is not only for her daughter but for all victims of injustice. She hopes that her story will help other families who have suffered loss. April continues to live in the hearts of her children and those she managed to inspire. Now her mother has become the voice of this struggle, an inextinguishable light. Jamie believes that a day will come when justice prevails. With a sense of grief, but also pride for her daughter, she will say, "You were not just a beloved daughter, but also a symbol of strength, resilience, and love. Your memory will always inspire others." I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Until next time, friends.